Joining us today for bonus conversations on the coast is Mary Doria Russell, who is the author of the national New York Times best-selling novel, A Thread of Grace, which is now available in paperback from our friends at Ballantine Books. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. It's great to be back.
You know, one of the interesting things about being able to talk to an author for the second time is that you can delve into certain biographical minutiae that you don't have time before. And this
is a terrifying idea.
Well, no, we're talking about yourself. You say that you learn different things here and there. And cultural anthropology at the University of Illinois, social anthropology at Northeastern University in Boston, biological anthropology at the University of Michigan.
That's right. Some people just don't know when to quit.
Why did you do all that anthropology?
Well,
you're going to write a novel about Italy.
I know. Well, no, I taught gross anatomy for a long time before I did that.
Oh, all right. Okay.
The thing about anthropology is it's kind of like medical school, where having an MA in medical school isn't anything. You got to go the whole route.
You got to keep going.
Yeah, or it's nothing.
You got to keep going.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
and I kept getting good grades.
Well, I mean, other than that, getting good grades is not normal.
Oh, for a grade grubbing.
Yeah. No, but other than that, you're fairly,
normal.
The Russells, it says here, live in Cleveland, Ohio, with a huge golden retriever named Leo Lebowski.
Leo Lebowski, that's right.
And a miniature dachshund named Annie Fanny Sweet Feet.
I know. I'm ashamed, but there you go. She's the princess.
This is what a doctor of anthropology.
Of the household, too. She absolutely runs it.
Oh, good Lord. The basic story of A Thread of Grace is a little-known story, but a true one, about the vast underground effort of the Italian civilians who saved the lives of 43,000 Jews during the final phase of World War II.
During the last 20 months. And it wasn't just civilians, it was the army, too. Across the board, from fascist to communist, every layer of Italian society, that was the one thing that they absolutely agreed on, was that they were going to deny the Nazis
as many Jews as they could.
Absolutely, yeah. And they did. It was phenomenal.
In one of the interviews of you that I think I saw somewhere in the press material, you said this is something you could never have done. I mean, reach out like this in a time of war.
In order to be able to really put yourself into that same position, for modern Americans, I think that you'd have to imagine that it was September 13th. Okay, just a couple of days after September 11th, and that your neighborhood was suddenly surrounded by, helicopters overhead and completely ringed by police and FBI, and there were loudspeakers saying no one is to leave any house, everybody stay exactly where you are, and then to hear a knock at your back door and to see a frightened Muslim family, visibly Muslim, and to have one of them say in broken English, "We didn't do anything, help us." That's what you would have to be willing to do. And even then, it's not equivalent, because we had only had a few days to get our heads around the notion that people had come here and had attacked us.
Yes.
There had been years of anti-Semitic propaganda in Europe at that point. And yet the Italians just didn't ever buy it. And they did, in fact, risk their lives. And many of them paid a terrible price for that kind of decency.
The thing to remember as we talk about this is that you've written a great novel, an addictive page-turner, the Washington Post Book World said. Russell has an astounding story to tell, full of action, paced like a rapid-fire thriller, intense, vivid scenes that move with cinematic verve.
Can't get a movie option to save my life.
I was going to ask you, is there any cinematic? No
And here's-
cinematic verve out there.
Yeah, you know what? I just asked my agent about that, and I said, The Sparrow is my first book, and that's Jesuits in space. That's
Yes,
a much
yes.
harder. That's actually probably going to get made into a movie. No, but yeah, exactly.
The Jesuits will be happy, maybe.
Well, hey, I just had breakfast with a bunch of Jesuits a couple of days ago. But anyway, she said that in Hollywood they're saying nobody wants to do World War II anymore. It's over. It's done. Stick a fork in it.
Okay.
So that's been the reaction.
Well, despite that, you've entered upon a tour, which is I've never seen the likes of this for a paperback book. I mean, this woman is going all over America yet again on the publisher's nickel, which is always a very good thing to do. And she's hitting some really fantastic spots: Bethlehem, Pennsylvania; Anchorage, Alaska;
Am I going to Bethlehem?
Palm Beach.
Oh, that's something else. That's the Moravian Theological College in Bethlehem.
Beach. Yeah.
Palm Beach. Oh, Palm Beach. Now there's a gig.
Well, forget where she's going. Just remember this about A Thread of Grace, that this is a deeply felt novel that combines a masterfully told, exciting story with an understanding of some of the most important issues of our time.
You're listening to Conversations on the Coast with Jim Foster. Now you can find this program on iTunes, SoundCloud, and all your favorite digital outlets. Follow the show on Twitter at JimFosterCoc and email JimFosterCoc@gmail.com.
Mary Doria Russell, here to talk about her book, A Thread of Grace, which is now available in paperback from Ballantine Books. Thank you for stopping by.
Always a pleasure.
The book really focuses on a little-known hunk of history, but a true one. The vast underground effort made by Italian civilians and others, and they saved the lives of 43,000 Jews.
I always feel I have to jump in and say, just for scale, okay?
Yeah.
Everybody remembers that the Danes saved Jews by smuggling them across Denmark to neutral Sweden, and that's well known.
Yeah.
2,100. Ooh. I'm not taking anything away from the Danes, but it was over a space of a couple of weeks, 2,100, and nobody knows about Italy and 43,000 who were saved. And I wanted to redress that injustice.
I have a feeling when you first brought this to your agent or your publisher, they said, why World War II and why Italy? I'm
an Italian by heritage. That's where the Doria comes from.
Okay.
I am a Jew.
It was also part of the name of a ship.
Yes, it's a ship that sank.
Went down big.
On its maiden voyage. And I have to tell you that my first name is actually Mary Rose, which is also the name of a ship that sank on its maiden voyage. So, I don't do cruises. I'm not allowed. They won't let me go on cruises.
Here we are with a good luck author.
Yeah.
So why did you choose Italy? I mean, other than the fact that that's part of your heritage? Where did you stumble upon pieces of the story?
I came across a book by Alexander Stile called Benevolence and Betrayal, 5 Italian Jewish Families Under Fascism. And his sales should be up because I recommend his book everywhere I go. But his was stories about these 5 Italian Jews. And I'm embarrassed to say this, but the first thing I thought of when I saw that title was Italian Jews. I didn't know there were Italian Jews. I thought I was the only one. So, obviously that was wrong. And I took the book home and I thought, I've got to do something with this. This is so dramatic and it's so unknown that I have to make this my next book.
One of the comments you made, I guess after coming out of some research, was that we've spent 60 years trying to understand what went wrong during the Holocaust, and I wanted to know what went right in Italy.
Yeah. And I think that's an extraordinarily important question to look at. It's not enough to just say, given an opportunity, people will cave into that kind of terror. No. Because they will most of the time, but the Italians didn't.
One of the problems that you would have in a book like this, it's got a large cast.
They're all Italian names.
They're all over the place.
Yeah.
There's a list of characters in the front to choke a horse. But later on, you have to make life and death decisions.
Yes.
Who's to live and who's to die. Now, the way that you did this was very, very interesting. Again, you have admitted this. You wanted the element of chance in the story, so you had your son flip a coin. Heads, the character lived. Tails, the character died.
Yeah, it was. I was the novelist, and so I was allowed to decide when and how this would happen. But as I was doing the interviews with survivors, with veterans of the war, with people who just, got through the war the best they could, everybody mentioned that whether you lived or died was blind dumb luck. It wasn't because you were cleverer. It wasn't because you were braver. It was that you turned left and the bullet went right. Yeah. It was just dumb luck. And I wanted to bring that sense of jeopardy to every single character. Too often, and in fact, I got one bad review because the guy said that, she killed one of her main characters. Well, being a main character doesn't mean you live through something. And I wanted to reflect that in the book. Yeah.
This a woman by the name of Susan Cahill says of your book, this wholly absorbing historical novel ends with perhaps the most moving coda in fictional history.
I was astounded by that.
That was a remarkable thing. It is powerful. I mean, you tell the story of someone dying, and it's. I don't know if I can find the place here or not. Yeah, here it is. The rabbi has his own ideas. You write, Claudia Kaplan is yet another casualty of war. That's the woman who just died.
Yeah.
That began long before it started and has not ended yet. Immense, intractable, incomprehensible. That conflict remains the pivot point of 2 centuries, the event that defines before and after.
Yeah, and I think that's still true. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you've abandoned these pursuits and you've gone on to other things.
It took 7 years to write that book. I've given a good chunk of my life to it.
I mean, I wouldn't complain because when you get to West Palm Beach, you're going to get 5 lunches out of this thing.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and one
room
barbecue.
in the breakers on the beach too. And it's February, which is the suicide season in Cleveland. So that was a really good gig.
Dreamers of the Day is the next novel.
Yeah,
it's about the 1921 Cairo Peace Conference. Something else we've all forgotten about. Yep. Took place after the First World War, and a handful of British and French guys had a good time and drew up what we now call...
They invented the modern Middle East. It's their world. We just live in it.
We will await this. In the meantime,
Shouldn't take 7 years, I promise.
We're all going to run out and get this inexpensive edition of A Thread of Grace, a novel by Mary Doria Russell. This has been Conversations on the Coast, and I'm Jim Foster.
Now you can find this program on iTunes, SoundCloud, and all your favorite digital outlets. Follow the show on Twitter at JimFosterCoc and email JimFosterCoc@gmail.com.